Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching Canal Algérie Midnight News, and these are our top stories. The President of the Republic, Almiji Tebboune, welcomed the President of the Republic of Niger, Head of State, General Abdurrahman Tiani, at the International Airport of Algiers, who is paying a fraternal and working visit to Algeria. The President Tebboune backs African move to recognize colonialism as a major international crime. African Union adopts Algiers declaration and praises the initiative. Within the framework of the deepening African partnerships and strengthening South-South cooperation between Algeria and Mauritania, promising partnerships exist in the areas of hydrocarbons and renewable energies. Severe floods hit northern Morocco. Thousands of families await aid as authorities face growing criticism. Welcome back. The President of the Republic, Almiji Tebboune, received this Sunday the President of the Republic of Niger, Head of State, General Abdurrahman Tiani, at the International Airport of Algiers. The Nigerian President is paying fraternal and working visit to Algeria at the invitation of the President of the Republic, leading a high-level delegation. The visit reflects the depth of the historic ties between the two countries and shared commitment of their leaders to strengthen political cooperation and maintain ongoing dialogue on regional issues, particularly the Sahel region. After listening to the national anthem of both countries and the flag saluted by the President of the Republic, accompanied by his Nigerian counterpart, reviewed detachments from various branches of the People's National Army who rendered military honors. and the President of the Republic of Niger was welcomed by senior officials, including the President of the Council of the Nation, the Minister Delegate to the Minister of National Defense, Chief of Staff of the People's National Army, the Minister of State, Minister of Foreign Affairs, National Community Abroad and African Affairs, the Minister of State, Minister of Hydrocarbons and Mines, the Advisor to the President of the Republic in charge of the Diplomatic Affairs, Minister of Health, the Minister of Industry, the Minister of Energy and Renewable Energies, the Minister of Foreign Trade and Exports Promotion, and the Minister of Public Work and Telecommunication. For his part, the President of the Republic, Al-Majid Tebboune, welcomed the high-level delegation accompanying the President of Niger. As I was saying, this visit reaffirms the shared commitment to enhancing bilateral cooperation in the fields of security, development, energy and key infrastructure, including strategic cross-border projects, as it also carries strategic significance in the light of the challenges facing the Sahel region. Algeria reiterates its steadfast support for Niger in strengthening an approach founded on solidarity, development and respect for national sovereignty. And in the VIP lounge at Algiers International Airport, the President of the Republic held talks with the President of the Republic of Niger, Head of State General Abdurrahman Tiani. On the Algerian side, the meeting was attended by the President of the Council of the Nation, the Minister Delegate to the Minister of National Defense, Chief of Staff of the PNA, the Minister of State, Minister of Foreign Affairs, the National Community Abroad and African Affairs, the Minister of State, Minister of Hydrocarbons and Mines, and the Advisor to the President of the Republic in charge of the Diplomatic Affairs. On the Nigerian side, the talks were attended by the high-level delegation accompanying the President of Niger. On the sidelines of the 39th ordinary session on the summit of the head of state and government of the African Union and on the instruction of the President of the Republic, Prime Minister Sefer Ouyib took part this Sunday in Addis Ababa in a high-level meeting on the implication of classifying colonialism as crime against humanity, as well as recognizing certain acts committed during periods of slavery, deportation and colonization as acts of genocide against African people. On this occasion, Prime Minister read out a message from the President of the Republic, Al-Majid Tebboune, to the participants in which he reaffirmed Algeria's long-standing position, fully supporting the efforts of the African Union Commission and its specialized legal bodies to establish a clear framework recognizing colonialism as one of the gravest international crimes. Such an approach, the President of the Republic stressed that would strengthen the principle of responsibility while ensuring justice for the victims.
تتقدم الجزائر في مستهل كلمتها بخالص.
Algeria congratulates the African Union Commission on international law for its serious and detailed study. Algeria praises the strong legal work and fully supports all efforts to create a clear legal system that considers colonialism as one of the most serious international crimes. Algeria asks the United Nations and former colonial countries to clearly recognize that colonialism was a crime based on its painful history of more than 132 years of harsh colonial rule. Algeria says it's ready to share documents, evidence and historical records with African legal institutions. Algeria, together with Togo, South Africa and Ghana, is responsible for following the implementation of Resolution 934 in the African Union's 2025 activities. In cooperation with the African Union Commission, Algeria organized a high-level international conference on November 30th and December 1st, 2025, called Colonial Crimes in Africa Towards Historical Truth and the Criminalization of Colonialism. The conference ended with the adoption of the Algiers Appeal. The main recommendations include official recognition of colonial crimes, better documentation and protection of African history, return of stolen cultural property, archives, and the remains of victims, recognition of the environmental and economic damage caused by colonialism. Algeria also welcomes the decision to make November 30th an official African Day to honor Africa's martyrs. This initiative aims to protect national memory and confirm that serious crimes should never expire with time. Algeria believes that truth and justice are the foundation for strong and fair partnerships in the future.
The African Summit adopted the Algiers Declaration to criminalize colonialism and seek reparations, and declared the 13th of November as African Martyrs' Day in honor of victims of slavery, colonialism and apartheid. Participants also praised the President of the Republic for his efforts to promote security, stability, development and preservation of Africa's historical memory. On the sidelines of the African Union Summit and representing the President of the Republic, the Prime Minister Seferoui participated in the meeting of the African Union's High Commission on South Sudan. The President addressed a message to the participants, which was read by Prime Minister, emphasizing the key conditions for a safe transition of South Sudan to the next stage. He specifically called for inclusive dialogue as only path to establish lasting peace in the region. We'll listen.
Algeria reaffirms its unwavering support for the sovereignty, unity and territorial integrity of South Sudan. It calls upon the international community, the African Union and all member states to intensify their support and assistance to this brotherly nation. Our support must be collective and effective, not only politically, but also in responding to the urgent humanitarian situation. Drawing on its national experience and regional position, Algeria emphasizes that the full and sincere implementation of the provisions of the signed agreement remains the surest path to achieve genuine national reconciliation and overcoming the current security, political and humanitarian challenges.
وتذليل التحديات الأمنية والسياسية والإنسانية الراهنة.
The President of the Republic also affirmed that Algeria's commitment to South Sudan, affirmed that Algeria was concretely demonstrated during Algeria's presidency of the African Union Peace and Security Council. We listen.
Algeria's commitment to South Sudan is not circumstantial, but based on consistent and deeply rooted principles. This commitment was notably demonstrated during Algeria's presidency for the African Union Peace and Security Council in August 2025. This mission allowed us to gather first-hand information on the progress of the political transition process and to convey messages of sincere solidarity to the government and people of South Sudan. Our delegation also had the honor of meeting with the President Salva Kiir, with whom we discussed in depth the political and security situation, as well as the prospects and future steps necessary to complete the transition process on schedule.
The 39th African Union Summit concluded with a final declaration and document emphasizes the importance of cooperation and complementary in the pursuit of the development across the continent, as well as the achievement of peace and stability. Najah Tiyar with the details.
Calling for sweeping reform of the international financial system to ensure fair African representation in global economic institutions. The final declaration underscored urgent climate changes and the need for major continental investments in water and sanitation infrastructure. It also pressed for intensified action against terrorism and conflicts through a distinctly African-led peace and security framework, while accelerating the implementation of the Agenda 2063 and advancing deeper continental economic integration. Algeria can play a leading role in the African integration as it is the largest country on the continent. It works tirelessly to strengthen the intra-African cooperation, and its geographical position enables it to contribute significantly and effectively to supply the regional markets by offering a wide range of products and services to the rest of the continent. During the reform in which we participated, the crucial role of the private sector in the development of intra-African trade was reaffirmed. Described at the summit as a historic victory for Africa, the adoption of the Algiers Declaration on Colonial Crimes marked a defining moment of the gathering. It underscored Algeria's strong and influential presence across the continent's most pressing issues. Algeria made its mark at this 39th summit, notably through the adoption of the Algiers Declaration on Colonial Crimes in Africa. Algeria reaffirmed its commitment to peaceful conflict resolution, its support for the African solutions to African problems, and its active contribution to strengthening mechanisms for conflict prevention and resolution. The adoption of the Algiers Declaration on Colonial Crimes in Africa at the summit constitutes a major victory for the continent. Given the suffering endured by African peoples at the hands of the colonial powers, it is also a significant victory for Algeria as an African nation that works tirelessly for peace and stability across the continent. Placing the colonial past within a clear framework of responsibility, moral reparation and equity among nations, the final declaration firmly upholds Africa's collective memory and unequivocally reasserts the people's right to recognition and historical justice.
The Minister of State, Minister of Hydrocarbons and Mine, Mohamed Arqab, and Minister of Energy and Renewable Energies received Mohamed Ould Khaled, the Mauritanian Minister of Energy and Petroleum, for a two-day working visit to Algeria. The visit aims to strengthen cooperation between Algeria and Mauritania, especially in energy and hydrocarbons. The two sides discussed training, sharing, expertise and cooperation in seawater desalination with the aim of building strong economic ties and achieve common interests. On this occasion, Arqab confirmed that Algeria is ready to support Mauritania as a strategic partner in developing its oil and gas resources, particularly in exploration and production. In Morocco, chronic negligence and weak governance have turned natural disaster into human crisis, leaving the vulnerable citizens abandoned and fueling public outrage. Detail with Najah Diyar.
In regions long marginalized, every natural disaster turns rain into human tragedy, leaving citizens to fend for themselves and exposing the glaring failings of a system whose responsibility is squarely blamed the Maghsan. The floods have swept everything away, our homes, our furniture, our memories. We found ourselves with nothing, and even today, no official has come to see us. No one has bothered to reach out a helping hand. Amid this tragedy, critics denounce a response deemed insufficient or completely absent, reigniting debate over years of mismanagement and deepening frustrations in a climate of fragile trust toward the authorities. Voices are denouncing yet another sign of marginalization and exclusion as the Moroccan citizens, already weakened by the crisis, see their dignity ignored and the authorities of the Maghsan fail to meet their expectations.
Well, that was it for tonight. On behalf of all the team that made this broadcast possible, I do thank you for watching us. Stay tuned on Canal Algérie. Bye for now.